I think most, if not all, gamers have that one mechanic that when they see it in game, it just immediately sours their experience. For me, it's crafting systems. I truly believe that most games that have a crafting system don't need one at all, and I've dropped multiple games because of that. Now there's nothing you can really say to change my mind about that, and I'm okay with being stubborn about it, but there are a few games with mechanics that have piqued my interest as of late. Mechanics that I always felt would overwhelm me and keep me from enjoying a game to the fullest. But either due to my own curiosity or being influenced by the people who play these games, I kind of want to give these mechanics a shot. Today, I'm talking about game mechanics and genres I need to get over, and what I'm playing to prepare for them. If this video sounds interesting to you, or you find yourself enjoying the video later on, consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing too. If you're interested in other gaming related videos, I'll have a playlist in the description covering different games and gaming topics. Now, let's talk about me growing and changing as a person. A wise man once said, "Any day can be our last day." Though in most games, that comes in the form of a game over, some somber music, and an option to reload to the last save. Or a scripted death that was always going to happen. But what if the fate of your team was actually in your own hands? The first mechanic I want to talk about is perma-death. And no, I don't mean something like The Last of Us Part 1 or The Last of Us Part 2, where it's a hyper-realistic, one-shot death that takes you back to the beginning of the game when you make a mistake. I'll leave that to the masochist, thank you very much. I'm talking about a game like Mass Effect, which is a game that I've always been interested in, but equally as nervous to play. I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that losing members of your party or even a side character isn't a desirable outcome, like, at all. Even if it's a scripted event, you put work into this character. You figured out their strengths and weaknesses, or at the very least, you enjoyed their company. A character like Shinji in Persona 3 was always meant to die during the events of the game. There's nothing you can do to stop that. And that's why I get anxious when I think about playing Mass Effect. Your choices from your day-to-day to your missions can affect your squad's fate. I usually like to achieve a quote-unquote perfect playthrough where everyone lives happily ever after, and a game like Mass Effect kind of would put a dent into that playstyle. As of late though, I've been partaking in a challenge run to get used to the idea of losing companions and working around that. To be more specific, I played my first Iron Man run in a Fire Emblem game. In short, an Iron Man run is where you try to complete the game without resetting any map, through unit deaths, through missing items, and through the mistakes made. Unit deaths mean a bit less in Fire Emblem because it usually doesn't result in a massive change to the story or the ending like the way it does for Mass Effect. It took a lot more strategy than I usually use, if I'm being honest. All the characters that I lost were from player error. I made a lot of mistakes, I lost a lot of really good characters, and there were multiple times where I doubted if I would even finish the game, which made it all the more satisfying when I won. Games like Fire Emblem and Mass Effect really show the beauty of this medium. You can complete these games with any combination of teams and strategies. Everyone's in-game crew is a reflection of player choice. Playing Fire Emblem in this way has definitely helped bolster my confidence in my choices, and made it easier to live with my mistakes in gameplay and be able to move forward with it. Have you ever had to take a test on like your weakest subject, and you only had like 30 minutes to answer 75 questions? It's a bit of an exaggeration, but that is how I feel playing a game with an active timer on it. I have tried playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask like 3 separate times, because it seems like the most interesting one of the Zelda titles I can play. I boot it up and then boom, instant stress. It also doesn't help that I get very helplessly lost traversing the city, and Nintendo 64 movement is always pretty choppy. I feel like timers are inherently a little bit stressful. People unintentionally time themselves to make sure things don't run too fast or slow, but even then, there's a bit of leniency. With a game like Majora's Mask, the timer is set in stone. If you don't play the Song of Time or finish the game by the end of the 3rd day, kaboom! To ease into the constant stress, I found that I had to first ease into the semi-constant stress. Metaphor ReFantazio also has a timer. You have a limited amount of time to take care of your mission before the deadline. as well as make friends with as many people as you can, get your social stats up to snuff, take care of any bounties you haven't done, etc., etc., etc. It just goes on and on. There is so much shit to take care of, and it can seem really overwhelming. Thankfully, the timer does not run while you're just idling about, only when you commit to an activity. This gives a little bit more time to figure out what to tackle first. Now, it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison, but it does make me feel better about playing under a bit of duress. I also think features like time trials and speedrunning levels and platformers also help build confidence for playing a game with an active timer. These modes are just go, go, go from the beginning. But with more time to get multiple runs in versus one slow run in a game like Majora's Mask, the connection isn't all the way there like it is with a different kind of timer. There's a finality in making a decision in a game like Metaphor or even the Persona games versus time trials which basically beg for you to keep trying. I do think both of these could be valid ways to prep for playing a game like Majora's Mask. It's just down to preference. I'm gonna be completely honest, horror is my least favorite genre of games. It's not because I think the games suck or do a bad job. In fact, quite the opposite actually. I am not good with horror in general. I scare easily, and if I even sense that I'm about to be jump scared, I'll turn the fucking game off and uninstall it. I don't care. There has been one horror series that made me wonder if it was worth it to scare myself silly though. When Resident Evil Requiem came out, my feed was full of the entire Resident Evil anthology, the good and the bad. I think what separates games like Resident Evil 1 through 4 and most other horror games is the third-person view. Now don't get me wrong, Resident Evil 7 and 8 are probably really cool games, but you have me completely fucked up if you think I'm playing a game like that while not being able to look around at all times. Building up the courage to even play a horror game has been rough. The closest I've come to playing an outright horror game have been the asymmetrical online horror games. Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th the Game, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They are considered horror games, but they don't feel like horror games. They feel like competitive multiplayer games with horror elements. I was never scared of these games as much as I was frustrated playing them. So I just kinda said fuck it and started playing a different third-person horror franchise. Now, why didn't I just play a Resident Evil game? Well, mainly because Resident Evil 1 isn't on Game Pass and I wanted to play all the games in order, so... Dead Space, huh? Honestly, I feel like I'd probably pick the creepier game. It does help that Isaac Clarke carries some heat, because otherwise I wouldn't know what to do. Everyone in Dead Space is acting in a realistic way compared to the situation they find themselves in. Compare that to a character like Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil 4. Does he take the situation in his game seriously?
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Sometimes? I think so. I don't know. But he spends the whole game cracking jokes like he's not afraid of anything going on, just slightly annoyed. Like he knows he's in a video game or something. Maybe that's just what I need in a horror game. Some asshole who doesn't take any of this bullshit seriously. I honestly feel like I'd be fine with playing a horror game even without a weapon as long as I'm in third person. I would go as far as to say that I could play a game like Alien Isolation if it was in third person. But like, at that point, would it even be Alien Isolation? It sounds like that just ruins the whole vibe of the game. Good, I'm now less scared of the game, and for what? A worse game? The viewpoint makes the game less scary, which is why I'm more open to playing it. But the point of the genre is to scare you. Now, I can understand that horror games are better and more immersive in first person, and I really do respect that, and I hope for the continued success of the horror genre. I'm just gonna be cheering in the background. I'm not gonna be playing these games. I'm not gonna say, like, never say never. There's, like, a slight, and I mean, like, tiny chance that I could will myself to play some shitty first-person horror game if I play enough third-person, but I wouldn't hold your breath. One set of controls that always seem to stump me are flying controls. No matter the game and no matter the controls, I just seem to forget how to use my hands. Like, driving controls are just fine. Left and right, pretty simple stuff. Drifting, other advanced maneuvers, they take a little bit of work, but with some practice, I feel pretty good about it. With flying, though, there's just a whole different level of coordination that goes in it. Not only are you going left and right, but you're going up and down. You can't lean too much forward, you can't lean too much backwards. There's just too many directions for me to keep up at the same time. And before I know it, I run into a stationary power line and die. I could always just take the plane up to the skybox of the game and just drift on, but where's the fun in that? That's boring. I need some stimulation. It gives me the same feeling as I feel whenever I'm driving on the highway for too long and I start to forget that I'm actually driving on the highway. And don't even get me started on trying to land the damn thing. If I'm playing a game like GTA or Saints Row, just know that I'm bailing out of the plane before I even get there, and whatever happens, happens. So combine all of the complexity of flight controls with shooter elements. We're talking resource management, positioning, aim? It's already hard enough to aim on a normal shooter, but I also have to make sure my plane doesn't explode? I'd be more worried about crashing the damn thing rather than getting shot down. Aerial combat / dogfighting games like Ace Combat or Star Wars Squadrons have always been on my radar, but the skill ceiling it seemingly takes to get good at these games make me rethink my life choices. When I pick an aircraft on Battlefield or Star Wars Battlefront 2, I basically become a spectator until I get shot down or do some kind of maneuver that I think looks really cool, but on my death replay, it's me just doing a loop-de-loop and then falling and dying on the ground. I don't even think playing a game like GTA would help with my flying skills. I don't really think it feels good to use an aircraft in GTA, and I think the aerial combat feels worse, honestly. Games like Starfield and, completely unironically, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga have helped me enjoy the air/space fights a lot more. Starfield's aerial combat is obviously aim dependent, but I think more of its focus is on allocating power to different systems for your ship. For instance, if you allocate more of your power towards your shields, you're going to be able to take a lot more hits, but it comes at the cost of having less points for things like your weapon damage and your maneuverability. Pretty heavy on the resource management, I would say. It helps you prioritize what you need in the moment. But can I be a little bit honest and say that I enjoy the simplicity of aerial combat in LEGO Star Wars? It's kind of just aim and shoot. Positioning is a little bit important. You can get the jump on some of your enemies, but you just have so much help that I just can't help but run into the enemy head on. Now, does this give me any kind of skills that I could translate into these more complex games? Look, even if it doesn't, it has been getting me to enjoy aerial combat a lot more. I can definitely see the day that I start playing the Ace Combat series, all thanks to LEGO Star Wars. I wonder if I'm the first person to say that. And that's about all I have for today. There are definitely a few more mechanics that I could have included, but I want to hear what you think. Are you averse to any of these mechanics? What mechanics or genres have you had a hard time getting over? Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribe for more gaming videos. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope you have yourself a good one.